Welcome back to Old Charles the Channel, where we uncover the fascinating history and hidden value of world coins and currency. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a classic British coin, the United Kingdom 2 Shillings coin from 1966, also known as the florin. By the end of this video, you'll know its history, design details, and how much it's really worth today in different conditions. So let's get started to understand the 1966 2 Shilling coin. We first need to go back in time. The 2 Shillings coin, or the florin, was first introduced in Britain in 1849 under Queen Victoria. The reason behind its creation was quite interesting. It was part of an early experiment to introduce a decimal currency system. Back then, the florin was valued at 1/10 of a pound sterling, equal to 2 shillings, which is about 24 old pennies. Fast forward to the 20th century. By the mid-1900s, the florin had become a common coin in British pockets. The 1966 version of this coin was minted during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, just a few years before the UK transitioned to decimal currency in 1971. That makes the 1966 2 Shillings coin one of the last pre-decimal coins of its kind. Another important fact, coins from the 1960s were made from cupronickel, an alloy of copper and nickel, because the UK had already stopped using silver in circulating coinage after 1946. So unlike earlier florins which contained silver, the 1966 2 Shillings coin is not silver, but still holds plenty of collectible value due to its history and design. Let's talk about the design. On the obverse, or the front of the coin, you'll find the first portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. This portrait was used on British coins from 1953 to 1970, showing the Queen wearing a laurel wreath, symbolizing youth and victory. Around her portrait, the Latin inscription reads, which translates to Elizabeth II, by the grace of God, Queen, defender of the faith. On the reverse side, the design is very striking. It features a Tudor rose in the center, surrounded by a thistle, a shamrock, and a leek, representing the four nations of the United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. Around the edge it reads, Fid Def means defender of the faith, a title of the monarch. This design is one of the most recognizable of the pre-decimal British coinage, and collectors love it for its symbolic artwork. Now, let's get to the part most of you have been waiting for, the value of the 1966 United Kingdom 2 Shillings coin. Since it's made from cupronickel and not silver, its base metal value isn't very high. However, its value comes from its collectability and condition. If your coin is worn and has been used in everyday transactions, it's generally worth around $0.50 to $1 USD. That's the average for collectors who just want an example of the coin. Better condition, fine to very fine ***. If your coin still has strong details on the Queen's portrait and reverse design, it could sell for about $2 to $, for USD high-grade condition. Extremely fine to about uncirculated coins with only light wear and sharp features can fetch around $5 to $10 USD if you're lucky enough to have a coin that was never used, with full luster and no scratches. Collectors may pay between $15 to $25 USD, sometimes more if graded by a professional service. Special note: since the 1966 2 Shillings coin is one of the last issues before decimalization, some collectors value it as part of a historical set. That means a coin in top condition can have extra premium. If you have one of these coins, check the edges, details, and shine. The sharper the Queen's profile and the Tudor rose on the back, the higher its grade. Avoid cleaning your coin, because cleaning can actually reduce its value. Also, complete sets of pre-decimal coins from the 1960s, including the penny, shilling, and florin, often sell well together. So if you plan to sell, consider keeping them as a group. So, the 1966 United Kingdom 2 Shillings coin may not make you rich, but it's a fascinating piece of British history, representing the final years before decimalization, a beautiful design, and the early reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Whether you have it as a keepsake, a family heirloom, or part of a coin collection, it's definitely worth holding on to. To truly appreciate the 1966 2 Shillings coin, we need to take a journey through over a century of British coinage history. The story of the florin, or 2 shillings, begins in 1849, during the reign of Queen Victoria. At that time, Britain's monetary system was based on pounds, shillings, and pence, with 1 pound equal to 20 shillings and each shilling equal to 12 pence. That meant a single pound was 240 pennies. As you can imagine, this system was complicated for trade and calculations, especially when compared with simpler decimal-based systems used in other parts of the world. The introduction of the florin was Britain's very first step toward decimalization. A 2-shilling coin equaled 1/10 of a pound sterling, making it easier to divide money into round decimal fractions. Even though full decimalization didn't happen until 1971, the florin was a bold experiment in simplifying the British monetary system that in its early years. The florin was minted in sterling silver. The very first version of the coin, released in 1849, became known as the godless florin because it left out the traditional reference to God in the Latin inscription. This caused a public backlash, and by 1851 the wording was changed to include Dei Gratia, or by the grace of God. Throughout the late 1800s and early 1900s, the florin became an established part of everyday currency. Under Edward VII, George V, and George VI, the design and composition of the coin evolved. By 1920, silver content was reduced from sterling, 0.925 silver, to 0.500 silver, and by 1947, Britain completely removed silver from circulating coins due to post-war economic strain. From then on, coins like the florin were struck in cupronickel, a durable mixture of copper and nickel. Now let's jump to the 1960s. This was a period of huge social and economic change in Britain. The monarchy was modernizing under the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, who had ascended the throne in 1952. At the same time, discussions about decimalizing the British currency were heating up again, as trade and commerce demanded a simpler system for international exchange. The 1966 2 shillings coin was part of this transitional era. It was still a pre-decimal coin, worth 2 shillings or 24 old pence, but it also served a secondary role as a decimal training tool, reminding people that 2 shillings equaled 1/10 of a pound. This was important because only 5 years later, in 1971, the UK fully switched to decimal currency, and the florin seamlessly converted into the new 10 pence coin. In fact, the florin remained in circulation after decimalization and was only gradually withdrawn in the early 1990s when a smaller 10 pence coin was introduced. That means the 1966 2 shillings coin is not just another old coin. It represents the bridge between two major monetary systems: the traditional pounds, shillings, pence system that Britain had used for centuries, and the modern decimal system we know today. Culturally, coins like this also marked the optimism of the mid-1960s. Britain was celebrating technological progress, a youthful monarch, and a global presence. Holding a 1966 florin today is like holding a piece of history that witnessed both the last years of the old system and the first steps into the new. Now let's talk about one of the most important factors in determining the value of your 1966 United Kingdom 2 shillings coin. Its condition in the world of coin collecting. Condition is everything. Even two coins from the same year can have very different prices depending on how much wear they've experienced over the years. Collectors use a grading scale that ranges from heavily worn circulated coins all the way to brilliant uncirculated, or mint-day coins. Let's break it down step by step so you can examine your coin at home. This is the highest level of preservation. Where the coin has never been used in circulation, the surfaces are free from wear, though they may have tiny marks from the minting and storage process. Full original luster covers the entire coin, giving it a bright, almost glowing look under light. Collectors prize these coins, especially if they've been professionally graded by services like NGC or PCS. Depending on the sharpness and eye appeal, uncirculated examples can be worth $15 to $25 USD or even more, while regular circulation strikes are common. Proof versions of similar coins were sometimes struck for collectors in the 1960s. Proofs are specially made with mirror-like fields and frosted details. If you have a proof set from 1966, the 2 shillings coin included in it can be worth significantly more asterisk, especially in pristine condition. Always use good lighting and, if possible, a magnifying glass to check the small details. Look for areas of high relief, like the Queen's cheek and hair or the center of the Tudor rose, as these are the first places to show wear. Never clean your coin. Cleaning can scratch the surface and destroy its collector value. Store your coin in a protective case or flip to preserve its current grade. So, as you can see, the condition of your 1966 2 shillings coin can make the difference between it being worth just pocket change or a nice collectible piece worth over $20. Always take the time to carefully check its wear, shine, and details before deciding its value.